Hello people, hello. How you doing? How you living? Good to be back in the ULVC again, talking about records, showing records and all that fun stuff. I'm going to show you a recent bootleg vinyl that I bought that I've been spinning a lot of lately because this just makes me so happy, this record. I'm a big Phil Collins and Genesis fan, and that's what makes this recent purchase a happy one for me. And I'm just going to get started with this. This is Phil Collins live at the Tower, live bootleg recording. Philadelphia radio broadcast from 1982. So this would have been his very first solo tour, and he was promoting the album "Hello, I Must Be Going." At this point, there's the track listing if you guys want to pause it and check it out. So it's his first solo tour, promoting the album Hello Must Be Going. So music from Face Value and Hello Must Be Going at this concert. This was a radio broadcast back in 1982 at Philadelphia, recorded in Philadelphia. And almost the whole show on here. 2 record set. Here's the gatefold. That's a picture of Phil Collins with Frida because he produced Frida's solo album. There's something going on during this time, so it kind of makes sense that a picture of him and Frida will be on the gatefold. Short essay of the projects he was doing between 1979 and 83, I believe. Phil Collins was a very busy man during those years. So it's a nice little capture of that little snippet of 79 through 83. Just how busy and how in demand Phil Collins was. But besides the essay, we got a good recording here. Like I said, it's a radio broadcast recording, so it's professionally recorded. And it sounds really good, and it's an honest, because it's a bootleg, it's an honest recording, so that means you get to hear all the mistakes. Most of them coming from Phil. Him forgetting lyrics, singing sour notes. I think during the night of this show, he might have had a cold or something, so his singing voice sounds fine. It's just his talking voice in between the songs sounded a little hoarse. Sounded like he was dealing with a cold. Anyway, it's a 2 record set. That's what the labels look like on both of them. You get this cool picture. That's the same picture that's on the album cover. I believe this picture was from a Genesis concert, probably 1982, during the Abacab tour. At least that's what it looks like to me. But nonetheless, it is Phil Collins, and I love this era of Phil Collins, the Hello I Must Be Going era, so it's really great to have a bootleg, and a great sounding bootleg from that era. I mean, this is before the big mega hits started coming in, so we get songs like I Don't Care Anymore, Thunder and Lightning, Cannot Believe It's True. A great version of Through These Walls. I've always loved that song. I Missed Again, which goes right into Behind the Lines. It has The Roof Is Leaking, which I think he only did on this tour and the But Seriously tour. And I think on the But Seriously tour he turned it into like a kind of a rock version of that song. Just great stuff on here. Good version of the West Side, though I think they edited out Phil Collins' drum solo towards the end of the song. In the Air Tonight sounds raw and honest. And they have a live version of the song And So to F. Now, like I said, it's almost the whole live show. What's not included is the song You Can't Hurry Love, which I could take it or leave it, to be honest with you. Hand in Hand was played during this time, but unfortunately it's not on this album. I wish it was, because I love the live version of Hand in Hand. And I believe that might be all that's missing. There might be another one missing, another song missing, but I can't think of what it is at the moment. So it's almost the whole show. But still, that's a lot. There's a lot of songs that they fit on here on 2 records, and it sounds great. A young solo Phil Collins, before all those mega hits became associated with him. So it's a good live recording. Like I said, it's the first bootleg I have of Phil Collins as a solo artist. I have all the studio albums, I have the official live albums, but I don't have a bootleg on vinyl from Phil Collins. This is the very first one, and it's great to start with this one because the sound quality is so good. And so like I said, I've been listening to this thing to death ever since I got it. I've had it just over a week or so, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Me being the big Phil Collins fans, Phil Collins at the Tower is just a great bootleg recording. I wish this was released officially, and they could, remaster the tracks, make them sound better. There's an audience that would love to buy these, and I just wish he would do that. Anyway, since I bought that bootleg, it got me listening to my Genesis bootlegs. I haven't listened to all of them because that would take forever, but I've been listening to some of them. I haven't listened to this one yet, but I wanted to show it on here because collecting bootlegs is one of my favorite things to do with my vinyl collection. I love this part of my vinyl collection, these unofficial bootleg recordings of concerts from Genesis. I love them. So we're going to start with the Peter Gabriel era. This is from 1975. This is a bootleg called Genesis Odd Man Out. I forgot the venue, but I know it's from 1975, basically the Lamb Tour. This is a very popular bootleg. I've been seeing it out in the wild lately, more copies of this, and they go for $40 to $50 a piece, and it's a one record set. I don't remember what I paid for this. It might have been almost $30 to $40, because now that I'm seeing it out in the wild again, that's what they're asking for it. Like I said, there's the front. There's the back. At one point, I read this whole thing while listening to bootleg, and yeah, I forgot what's covered in this little story here, and I doubt I'll read it again. That's before I needed reading glasses. And like I said, one record set. Let me get the label right side up here. Yeah, so. Not bad, not bad. A decent sounding bootleg. And like I said, it was during the Lamb tour, so I got to get a bootleg of the whole Lamb show. I mean, I have it on the official box set of Genesis, where it has the whole Lamb live, which they did some touch-ups in the studio, and some of it's pretty obvious, but I don't think I have a bootleg of the whole. Well, I do, and I'll show that later, but I'm not really too crazy about that bootleg. But anyway, really great sounding bootleg. Like I said, it's fun collecting these, especially since I'm a huge Genesis fan. Collecting bootlegs, I think at one point was a lot of fun, but unfortunately, over time I got kind of burnt out on it. And you can only hear Firth the Fifth and Supper's Ready so many times on a bootleg, so I think I kind of stopped myself from listening to them, but this is when I was really heavy into it. And these are not all my bootlegs, but the ones that I found really interesting. Another Genesis bootleg with the Peter Gabriel era, and I suck at speaking French, so here I'll give it a shot. La Angel Gabriel. People who were French speaking are probably going, "Oh my God." I'm sorry I butchered that, but I have no idea how to pronounce that. But this is, I believe this is from 1973. No, 1974. I was close. Montreal University Sports Center, April 21st, 1974. This is another FM broadcast, and this actually sounds pretty good as far as the sound quality. Now you got to realize when you buy these bootlegs, your expectations have to be pretty low. These are not official live recordings, so they're not going to sound professional. Some of them are going to sound pretty fucking bad, actually, but some of them will sound pretty good, too. This is also a one record set. And this one has an average looking label on it. But it was really fun to listen to this one back in the day. I'm going to listen to this again probably later tonight. Dancing with the Moonlit Night and Cinema Show make up side 1. I Know What I Like, Firth the Fifth, and the Musical Box make up side 2 from 1974. Peter Gabriel era of Genesis, which to a lot of people, the whole big debate, Genesis, after Peter Gabriel left, a lot of the fans left, and then when Steve Hackett left, what was left of them left, and then it was just all the pop years with Phil Collins, Banks, Rutherford, and that's when a lot of people just checked out of Genesis. I like all eras of Genesis, the early 70s all the way to the 90s. I like the whole thing. I even like calling all stations. And I got bootlegs of that too, but just not on vinyl. Alright, now here we go. Now this isn't... I wanted this in my collection, but it is the shittiest sounding bootleg I have of Genesis. And it's called Swelled and Spent. And as you can see, I love this cover because it's like a mockery of the Lamb album cover. But I thought it was pretty clever how they did it, so I always loved this cover. This is an audience recording of the entire Lamb show that they did back in 74, 75. I don't really remember the year on this one, but it's an audience recording of the whole Lamb show, and it sounds fucking terrible. Well, the audio quality sounds fucking terrible. The band sounds great, but you could tell it's an audience recording, and it's a pretty shitty audio recording of it. Audience recording. I'll just show you one label. Nothing exciting to see here, but you know, unless you're a Disney fan. But anyway, yeah, terrible, absolutely terrible live recording. And this is an expensive bootleg if you see it out in the wild. And yeah, I probably paid a pretty penny for this. I blocked it out of I buried it in my memory, so I'll never have to know how much I paid for this. But the vinyl collector and Genesis fan in me wants to have this in my collection, and is glad to have this in my collection. I have not listened to this in probably over 5 years, maybe longer, because it just sounds that crappy. But the sound quality sounds that crappy. Ugh, it's a terrible bootleg, but at the same time, I'm glad it's in my collection. Go figure. But yeah, like I said, keep your expectations, especially with this one, keep the expectations very low, very low. But still, like I said, I like having it. All right, now this is probably my favorite Genesis bootleg. Sound quality's great. The band sounded fantastic. It's a different era. Peter Gabriel's no longer in the band. This is Genesis live from the mouth of the monster. This is recorded in Chicago, I believe, 78. October 13th, 1978, Uptown Theater, Chicago. And the album they were promoting at the time was And Then There Were Three. This is from a radio broadcast as well. This one sounds great, and the band is just on fire in this bootleg. It is my favorite one. This is not the whole show. Even though it's a 2-record set, it does not contain the whole show. I have a CD bootleg of this, and it contains the whole show plus a radio interview from Phil Collins back in 1978 that they interviewed Phil after the show. So actually the CD one is actually better than the vinyl because it contains more songs. The true track listing of what they played that night. Here the songs are in a different arrangement of songs. But some great stuff on here. Burning Robe, Dance with the Moonlit Night, which medleys into the musical box. Say It's Alright Joe, Deep in the Motherlode Ripples, Cinema Show, We're in That Quiet Earth, Afterglow, and so on and so on and so on. So it's an excellent bootleg if you're a fan of these things. If you're a fan of these things, oh, this is probably the best one to own. And I love this record. And there's the label there. Do I have it right side up? I do. Okay, good. Really good bootleg. Really good bootleg. Like I said, it's my favorite. 2-record set. That's what both labels look like. Live from the Mouth of the Monster. I still have. I gotta dig out that CD bootleg of it because it's the whole show. And the song is the exact order they played that night in 1978. With the interview of Phil Collins after the show for the radio broadcast. And I think even that's on 2 CDs because I couldn't fit it on one. Big track listing, but this bootleg is fantastic. If you ever see it in the wild, it'll probably cost you $40-50. It's worth it because it's really good. I probably my favorite one. All right, let's move on. I believe this one is 77. Yeah, 1977. This is Genesis live at Earl's Court, another radio broadcast. I tend to only buy bootlegs if they're radio broadcasts or some kind of pro recording. I very rarely go with audience recording because I was just so fed up with the shitty audio quality. I actually want to hear these songs live. in at least a decent quality. If you want the best overall, then you have to get the official records. But they skipped over this era, I believe. Well, no, some of it was on Seconds Out, but this is a really good track listing. One for the Vine, Inside and Out, live recording of Inside and Out, which is one of my favorite Genesis songs that was never on an official record, a studio record. Bertha Fifth, Dance on Volcano, Lucendos, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, Musical Box, The Knife. This is recorded in June 24th, 1977, Earl's Court. Really, really good bootleg. Really enjoyed this one. I also have a CD bootleg of this one. It contains more songs. But really, really good bootleg. And I really love the tours they did for Trick of the Tail, Wind and Wuthering, and then there were 3. I really love that era of Genesis, and I try to find as many live recordings during that time as I can, both on vinyl and on CD, because they were really great sounding live band at that point. I mean, they always have been a great sounding live band, but I really love the way they sounded during 76 and 78. They had really stepped up their live game, I think, at that point. And we're playing a lot of different countries, and they were really getting around. And live recordings from those years are really good. And I'll have to put this away later because this is just being too fussy. All right, we'll put that away later. All right, I'll move on here so we're not spending too long on one. This is kind of a mixed bag of live recordings. It's called Relevatory Genesis 1978, 1980. The 78 shows are from Nebworth Festival, June 24th, 1978. And the tracks from 1980 are from the Lyceum Ballroom, May 7th, 1980, the Duke Tour. And I think the popular bootleg for the Duke Tour was Musica, which is from the Lyceum Ballroom. It's part of the BBC box set that came out recently for Genesis Live, the BB sessions, and they have a lot of recordings from that show because it was one of their more popular radio broadcasts. So this has one album 78, one album 80. I believe that's how it's arranged. Probably more of the 80. Yeah, it's more 80, but 2 records set, and it's a really good sounding bootleg. Though the volume is a little low, if I remember right, on some of these tracks, it seemed like the recording speed was a tad slow, but it's still an enjoyable listen. You'll still get a lot out of it. I did when I listened to it. This is a tough bootleg to find. It can be found, but you really gotta be patient looking for this one. This one doesn't pop up very often. I think I've only seen it in record stores a very small number of times. And the first time I saw it, being the big fanatic fan I am, I instantly jumped on it. And oh my God, the Lyceum recordings are really good. I mean, I have DVD bootleg of that because I have video of it too because it was filmed, and CD and vinyl bootleg of it. Those Duke shows were fantastic. I wish I had seen them live during that time, but I was only 9 years old at the time, so I couldn't go. And I never heard of Genesis at that time. So now here's a really good Genesis bootleg, and I have no information on it. I think I at one point looked it up, and I forgot what the information was, but it's just called Genesis Mirrors, and it has a picture from the 1978 show. And then there were 3 where they had these big mirrors, and they shined lights. And the mirrors there was 3 big mirrors in the lighting grid, as you can see there. And when they shined the lights on them, they reflected off the mirrors and gave a really pretty effect with the lights. So really cool design for concert lighting back in 1978. And this is a radio broadcast, but I believe it's a radio broadcast because it sounds really good. The sound quality sounds really good. And there's a little catalog of all their different, this company's different recordings and little info on Genesis. And I'm wondering if, oh, here we go. Recorded live 1977, before Steve Hackett's departure. Okay, so it was recorded in 77, even though the picture's from on the cover's from 78. And this is just had a plain white label. I'm the one that put the side 1, side 2, so I know which is which. And it's a great sounding bootleg, like I said. Pro recorded, so it's a radio broadcast. Really great mix. And let me see if it has a track listing. So again, one for the Vine, Robbery, Assault, and Battery, 11th Earl of Mar, Your Own Special Way, In That Quiet Earth, Afterglow, and Firth of Fifth. So from 1977. So really fun bootleg. This one I actually started listening to right after the Phil Collins 82 one. And it's been a long time since I spun this, and I just couldn't get over how good it sounded. For a bootleg, it sounds really good. Not as good as an official release, but for bootleg, it sounds really good. And I love the track listing on it, and it's a great performance from the band. It's 1977, so it's within that my favorite era of Genesis Live. Fun stuff, fun stuff. This one is a very important bootleg. It's an audience recording, but it's not bad for audience recording. And I always have trouble pronouncing this. Gabba Cabralio. That's about as close I can come to saying that. Gabba Cabralio. Whatever. It's the reunion show when Peter Gabriel rejoined Genesis for one night at Milton Keynes, October 2nd, 1982. So the original 5-man era of Genesis reunited for one show only, one night only, and this is an audience recording of the entire reunion concert. And it even has the medley where Steve Hackett joins the band. So to play, I think I Know What I Like in the Knife. So he just joined for the encore. Like I said, it was an audience recording, but it's not bad for an audience recording. It has its moments where it doesn't sound very good. I love the live photos that they put in the gatefold of this, all from that night. And like I said, it was a one-night concert. It was for charity, for get Peter Gabriel out of bankruptcy because of the WOMAD festival he did back then, and he was on the verge of going bankrupt, so the band helped him. And they put together this concert. All the proceeds went to Gabriel to help with his financial losses, which was, I think, nice of them. Shows that the band were still friends, even though that lineup was no more. They were still friends. So there's a label. Really, for an audience recording, like I said, it's pretty good, and I do enjoy listening to it. I don't listen to it very often because it's not the greatest sound quality, but I like the way this bootleg is put together. Artwork, gatefold, cool, rare photography in the gatefold, so very nice. Actually, I misspoke. It's a 3-record set, not a 2-record set. 3-record set. There's a 3rd record there. Really nice recording. I think they play Salisbury Hill on here too, and they also play Turn It On Again with Peter Gabriel on the drums. So interesting, as Phil Collins sings the lead vocal, so Turn It On Again. So one Gabriel song, one Genesis 80s Genesis song with Gabriel on drums. Fun stuff. And it was the only time Peter Gabriel came back to Genesis. And I had wished they had recorded it professionally, a pro recording, and filmed it. There's rumors that they did film it because people said they did see some film cameras out and about during the show, but no footage exists. So the rumor is it was filmed probably for the band only, not to be commercially released, because I'm saying, if you ever listen to this, you know there's a lot of mistakes on here. The band wasn't exactly tight. But which is probably why it was never officially released. Alright, last one, and this is one of my favorites also. This is going way, 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 way down the line. This is Genesis World Dance from 1992 for the album We Can't Dance. This was the very last show of that tour at Nebworth Park in 1992. So now we're getting more into the pop era of Genesis. This is a 3-record set, I believe, right? Well, yeah, 3-record set, the whole show. This was on a pay-per-view, so I have the DVD bootleg of it because it was a pay-per-view event. And this is just the audio from the pay-per-view event. And there's the track listing if you want to pause and look at that. This has the 80s hits like Land of Confusion, You're No Son of Mine, Invisible Touch, Tonight, 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 Throwing It All Away, Jesus, He Knows Me. But it has the old medley of Dance on a Volcano, The Lamb, Musical Box, 4th to 5th, I Know What I Like, and so on and so on. And it also has Domino on here, which is one of my favorite 80s Genesis songs. And it also has Home by the Sea and Second Home by the Sea. So really cool recordings and other songs as well. The whole show, the last show of this tour, I actually saw this show in Sacramento at the football stadium at Sacramento State, which was called Hughes Stadium at the time. It might still be called that. And they filled that whole stadium. So it was a real fun show to see. And this bootleg sounds great because it's a pro recording. It's audio from, like I said, from a pay-per-view event. So the audio is fantastic on here. It was a good show. Emotional show because it was like the last show over the tour. So those can be emotional shows. And there we go. There's the label and a weird design on the back. 3-record set, and it's great to listen to, especially this era of Genesis. Like I said, I love all eras of Genesis, and the 80s and very early 90s are also a very special and favorite part of Genesis to me, because that's when I finally got to see them live. That's when I actually got to see them live from my own eyes. I mean, I wish I had saw them back in the mid-70s, but oh well. Better late than never. Better to see them or not see them at all. Anyway, that's going to do it. Because of this, it got me nostalgic to listen to all my Genesis bootlegs. And hopefully I can find some more Phil Collins bootlegs on vinyl. Or he could just release them. That'd be great. Because I have one from the No Jacket Required tour from Sydney, Australia. And it's the whole show. And it is also a pro recording, soundboard recording. And it sounds great. He could touch that one up and release that one. There is an audience for these recordings. But I doubt he'll do that. Anyway, that's going to do it. Let me know what you thought about these. Leave me some comments, and if you have a favorite era of Genesis, or if you have bootlegs yourself, tell me about your favorite ones, and we'll have a little discussion in the comments. Other than that, hope everyone's well, and I'll see you at the next video. See ya.